What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Skull and Bones' developer. And this is not so much about, the base game. We've talked about the game. We've talked about, my excitement for it, even with all of, literally the worst possible things that could ever happen to a game has all happened to this game. And yet, I still want it, mainly just because of pirates, right? I want to see what they're able to do. But this is, again, on the personal side, the personnel side, right? The people working on the game. And I have a couple things to say. I've mentioned a little bit about this when I made a video on the main channel talking about the Activision Blizzard stuff. And I think it's important for, for someone like me even to kind of speak out on it from time to time, just so you guys kind of know where I stand. And I feel like I say things more blunt than other people. So here's the deal. Basically, the team is under investigation for all of the garbage that they have reportedly done. Now, there was talk about, payment gaps between their employees. There was talk of discrimination against their employees. I mean, some truly stupid, actually harassment and discrimination, were specifically kind of mentioned. So this was based off of that Kotaku article about a month or so back, and now they're literally being looked at by some higher level authorities, and the consequences are pretty severe. Like, if they're found to, now if there's any criminal cases or charges, that goes to its own department, and that'll eventually come back around. That can potentially happen. Other things could be they'll have to do new protocols in place depending on what happens. And then other things is for foreign employees, they may not be able to renew or they can't sign up for new work visas or renew their existing ones for 1 to 2 years. So there's legitimate consequences, basically, right, to what could potentially happen to these people. And that's about it in terms of, what we know as of right now. Ubisoft has obviously kind of violently denied it, saying they don't do this kind of stuff. We know, a lot of their employees across the scope of things have signed letters and stuff saying there is harassment, discrimination in the workplace. Here's the thing. Well, number one, I try not to get caught up in all of this stuff, right? Because you see this kind of stuff, from time to time online and stuff. I don't talk about it mainly because I guess I hope in my heart that if things truly are bad, or if things truly are what people say, there will be actions, okay? So, for example, this is an action, right? The Kotaku article, in people that they interviewed, right? Those are people saying things, but, if they're making it up or if they're exaggerating or stuff like that, maybe this stuff doesn't happen. But because maybe it's true, this stuff, so that's again, kind of a background on me of where I stand with these things, where it's I obviously think they're disgusting and I don't like them, but it's I don't really want to speak too much on it until we know a little bit more. In terms of, my opinion on this kind of behavior, right? Same thing, honestly, it's the same thing with Activision Blizzard, where it's is it so hard to just be equal? You know what I mean? And look, I'm not even saying you need to have a roster and you say, well, we need to fill in these. I'm a big supporter of hiring best person for the job, people that, and by the way, I'm not saying just because you're the best coder on planet Earth, you should get the job. You need to have other skills, right? You need to be a good communicator. You need to treat people with respect, stuff like that. Those things, by the way, should make it into these job interviews, where if you are not these kind of people, even though maybe you're really good at creating games, if you're not good on the social side, then you're actually not the best, so that's honestly what I mean too when I say best person for the job. I mean someone who literally can check the boxes of what needs to be done in the workplace. I believe in equal opportunity, right? No matter what race you are, no matter what gender you are, you would have equal opportunity to rise up the ranks. I don't think you should get certain positions just because you are a certain person. Basically, what I'm saying is just be a good person. Just be good at your job. Is it that difficult to do something like that? That's really what makes me so angry and so upset about all this stuff. I mean, the two main things here is discrimination, I guess discrimination again of opportunities and or pay, and then also harassment. I mean, treat others the way you want to be treated. Why are there people in the gaming industry that talk to each other like they're less? I guess, and it's important to say the way that these kind of things are framed is it's because of a race or a gender. It's not even necessarily because of position of power, although sometimes it is, right? Sometimes higher positions of power really talk down to lower ones. Now, there is a power, dynamic there, and I hope that's not what gets confused. And again, see, that's what I kind of mean. Like, there are weird twists to it with that. Like, if you're a manager of a store and there's, people far below you, like, there is a dynamic of how both of those people talk to each other that, if you exaggerate it, maybe you could get to more of these kind of things that are being said. And I'm not saying that is what's happening, but I'm saying that could be a thing, right? And that's why, again, I try to not speak up on it. But, like, it seems like there's more going on. I mean, let's be flat out honest with ourselves, right? I'm not defending, by the way, none of this stuff is defending Ubisoft. All it really is I like to know kind of the full picture before I talk about something or before I really give my opinions of it. But I don't get why it's so difficult. Equal, again, there is a power dynamic if you're a higher up position to a lower, but especially if you're the same, I mean, you talk to them like you're equals. And also in terms of respect-wise, we're all people, you know what I mean? So even if you are a higher end person talking to a lower end person, yes, you may be giving, I guess, orders or direction or, whatever you want to kind of call it, but there should be a respect there because you're both, I don't understand why that's so difficult to do in terms of, like, pay. If there really is situations, now I don't know this, again, I find it insanely difficult to believe that in modern day this still happens, but obviously it pops up here and there. Like, if there are examples of people working the exact same position for, let's say, the exact same time, and they're not getting paid equal, that's just a joke. I really don't understand how that flies. Now, again, playing devil's advocate, if there's two people, maybe they are a different race or a different, gender or whatever, they are working the same position, one makes more than the other, but one's been there for like 6 more years than the other person, that's very much acceptable that they would be paid more. Again, so, like, I don't want to frame it like I'm giving Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt, but those things, again, like, that happens all the time. So I want to believe that because they're going through with this investigation, that maybe there is those more sinister things going on. Again, in terms of how can that possibly be happening? That's the question, right? How does that even happen nowadays? Or how can you get away with that? It's just, let me say one final thing. And this is a thing that I like to connect because this is like a broader range of topics I like to talk about on these channels. It's funny to me that this happens nonstop, it seems like, in the gaming industry. We know it's like a hive mind, not just with gaming journalists, but really for a large majority, not in terms of, like, creative thinking, but in terms of, like, politics and, power dynamic between gaming developers, journalists, and us, the fans, right? They're all part of the exact same group. They will all back each other up till the day they die, and it takes quite a bit to have them turn on each other. We know that, right? Even like Kotaku, when Kotaku kind of went after, certain games over the past couple months, right? Everybody's turning on them, including gaming developers that up until that point have always been very supportive of Kotaku, even though they're horrible people and it's a horrible company. They were still always backing them until they turned on them. So one thing I do want to say is, do I like to see the gaming industry basically burn to the ground? No. I prefer Hollywood to do that first, which it is, but I would like that to happen first in gaming industry, maybe just avoid that. But in reality, maybe that's what needs to happen because I am tired of these people all thinking they know better than us, the fans, because they're in the position of making these games. They all back each other up. They all think exactly the same. Again, not creatively, because obviously they all make different games and different, things like that, but they really are all part of the exact same group of thinkers. And it's funny that they'll preach things to us and then they do it the exact opposite. These are probably I'm just going to make an assumption, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I guarantee you I'm not. These are the people that will back each other up or say it themselves that they support this thing, that thing, this thing in terms of, like, politics, right? In this kind of stuff, and yet they will do the exact opposite behind the scenes. They'll do whatever's most beneficial to them. That's what's the most hilarious thing. You also have people that say, like, oh, well, speak up, like, tell your story, and yet they are in the position of this, a studio they could speak up. And yes, they may be risking things, but you know what? If everybody speaks up, it's not going to be a big deal, and yet they don't. They keep quiet. So that's something that's always, I know this is definitely turned into a rant, right? That's always what's annoyed me pretty heavily with the whole like, oh, speak up or, do this, do that. But then you'll have people say, well, I can't wait till I'm out of the gaming industry so I can tattletale on people that are in it right now, that are in, that are like close to me. It's like, well, just tell it now. Why wait on it till you're gone? Like, just do it. And if you're telling the truth, right? If it's actually happening, others will back you up. It's really the same thing with Activision Blizzard or with Ubisoft. I get it's scary. I get it. I understand that, you're going to put your name out there. But if it's really happening, if it's true, and other people, I guess practice what they preach, because they all preach so loudly, but they don't practice it. If they were to all do it, issues would be solved like magic. They'd be solved in a millisecond. You know what I mean? And so this sucks in terms of the people that work at Ubisoft Singapore. I hope this situation is resolved. I hope there is just fairness and respect, going on. And at the same time, I really kind of want all of it to just go away. You know what I mean? Just shut up, stay quiet, and not stay quiet in the way that, like, let these things happening, but, like, solve your situations before you say anything about anybody else. You know what I mean? So let me know. Definitely a different kind of video. It went off the rails for sure, but let me know what you guys thought about all this. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I do a brand new video on the channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.